We live, man. Sometimes I'll be forgetting I'm live. What up, people? King here. It's the Ball 500. Day 35. It's Monday, man. It's Monday mindset, man. Hope you guys are having a great day. And, like, I'm going to get into it, man. One of the most difficult things, when it comes to doing something is just being consistent, man. And, sometimes, you make a promise and you say, hey, I'm going to do 500 days and I'm going to talk about 500 business owners and I'm going to get up here and I'm going to do the best that I can. And sometimes it's like mentally, it's like you don't want to do it. But once you get started and once you push that play button, it gets easier. It gets easier. So whatever you're trying to do, and it takes consistency, get up and do it. Convince yourself to get up and make it work because nobody else is going to do the work for you. Nobody else is going to get up. You see all these successful YouTubers and streamers and all that stuff, and you say, yo, man, why can't that be me? It can be you. You just got to get up and do the work and build the audience. And that's the hardest thing to do, to just keep going and be consistent, man. So I have a business feature today, but before we get into that, man, let's just get into a little bit about the Monday mindset. Day 35, the Vault 500. Appreciate you guys. No matter what type of business you have, you can see, like, when it comes to Shark Tank and all of these different shows like that, ownership and what you own and what you do is very important. So no matter what type of business you have, make sure you try to maintain as much ownership as you can. So we're here with Mindset Monday. We're just talking about getting ready for the week, getting it together mentally, our mental health. Make sure that whatever you do for your mental health, whether it's journaling, praying, whatever it is, make sure you're doing all that, getting ready for the week, writing down your goals. And, that's what Monday Mindset is all about. You know what I mean? Getting ready for the week and making sure that you accomplish those goals. You know what I mean? So make sure you got those goals intact, and make sure that you working and you're being consistent. That's the hardest thing to do, is to get up every day and be consistent. I didn't really want to get up today and get on here and talk, but sometimes, I'm just being real. Sometimes you don't want to get up here. You don't want to, like, man, why I got to do that? Why, but then you look at other people and you see them making all of this money, getting up and streaming and doing all these different things. And you say, you know what? Let me get up and do it, because nobody's going to do the work for you. You know what I mean? Nobody's going to get up and do it for you. So, yeah, man, resilience. That's what we talking about. Purpose-driven success, aligning money moves with your personal mission. I don't give money advice because I'm not a financial advisor, and I don't really think that's a good thing. One thing that I really don't like is when I get on the internet and I see people giving financial advice and they're young. I'm not saying because you're young, you can't be good at finance, right? But part of investing is long-term, right? We want to talk to people that have 25-year portfolios. We want to talk to people that have 30-year portfolios. You know what I mean? Robert F. Gray, people that are billionaires. You got so many people that get on here and they talk about their financial experts and they're like 30 years old. I'm like, there's people that have portfolios that are older than you. I can look at them and get advice from them. Why am I talking to a 35-year-old telling me he's a investment expert when he may not even have a portfolio with a couple of $100,000 in it? You know what I mean? Like, I don't give financial advice there's enough people out there that you can get financial advice from. There's enough like billionaires and people like that, that you can go and you can talk to, not talk to, but you can go and you can get advice from, that have, I'm outside, people, that have vast portfolios. You know what I mean? There's people out there that have those portfolios already. So I don't really like, I'm not going to name no names, but y'all know who I'm talking about when I talk about these young guys saying that they financial experts and stuff. I'm an old head. I'm an old guy. So, but I don't give, even though I was a financial planner at one point, I was a certified financial planner, but I don't even give financial advice because there's people that are way more successful financially than me with billions in their portfolio, and we can look at them for advice and see what they're investing in. So I don't really like to see these 35-year-old guys, 30-year-old, hey, I'm an investor. I know that's impossible unless you hit really big with your business, and all of a sudden, you know what I'm saying, you came into some money and then you invested it. But otherwise, it takes 20, 30 years to build a real portfolio of businesses, and for you to really learn how to watch money, that takes time. But I appreciate you guys for tapping in. I do have a business feature today, and her name is Mellody Hobson. And I know that name sounds familiar, right? Because who's her husband? George Lucas, billionaire, Star Wars, George Lucas. But that's not the reason why I'm talking about her today. I'm talking about her because of her investment companies, Ariel Investments. And she's a brilliant woman. She went to an Ivy League school. Not saying that just because she went to an Ivy League school, she's brilliant, but she is brilliant. And she has her own investment company. It's called Ariel Investments. And here's a little information about her. And she's the board chair of Starbucks and director at JP and Morgan Chase. So she's talented and she knows what she's doing when it comes to investing. She's an advocate for financial literacy and diversity in corporate leadership, and known for her philosophy on being color brave, encouraging open conversation about race in business and beyond. So today we're talking about Mellody Hobson, very successful investor, and she is also the wife of George Lucas. So I'm sure you guys have heard of her, the name, right? But you don't really know that she has her own passions and she's successful in her own right. She's not only just married to a billionaire filmmaker, but she is in her own lane and she's doing her own thing, right? So I found this article, Mellody Hobson's Remarkable Rise, right? There she is pictured with her husband, George Lucas. And let's get into this article. Now, like the article says, you see her, the wife of Star Wars creator George Lucas. She's good, just being his wife. But she chose to create a lane on her own. She's from Chicago. And she was raised by a single mom, like a lot of people. And you can check this out. So it's basically talking about the financial trouble that she had when she was growing up, right? Something that a lot of people experience, something, when they're young and they're growing up in a single home, a single parent home. And she managed to get out of that and pull herself out of poverty, and then land in an Ivy League school. And then she ended up landing a job as an investor. So as you can see in this article, right? She was ashamed and embarrassed for a very long time, had to hide it all. She said their cars were repossessed, their phone number was always changing. You know, okay, let's get into this a little bit more. So she was able to get into Princeton. And from there on, that started her journey into financial success. You know, okay, so she says one way she teaches her daughter about money, who's 10 years old, she shows her the bill when they go out to eat. So, and she has her break down the bill. Um, I know a lot of parents that do that, and a lot of parents think that that's very helpful, especially when it comes to arranging the tip. So, you know, you have your child look at the bill and you have them try to figure out the tip, if they're old enough for that. You know what I mean? So that's a great way to get them thinking about money early because just because someone graduates college and they become successful doesn't mean that they're going to know how to manage money. And when I was in college, I had a college professor, and he said that he lived paycheck to paycheck. He said, I make a great salary, and my wife makes a great salary, but we don't save anything. We live paycheck to paycheck. And for him to admit that, to me, is very courageous. You know, let's say he's making 150,000 at the time. When I was young, that was a lot of money. Now it's not really so much, but um, when I was young, he was making a lot of money. He said, hey, I don't know how to manage my money. And he was a college professor. He wasn't a financial professor. I think that was my philosophy professor, if I recall correctly. It was a long time ago when I was in college, but he didn't even know how to manage money. And he's a college professor and very successful. His wife is successful and they had money. And if he lost his job, it would end them. They would be done. They would be finished. So just because people are smart, just because people graduate college, that doesn't mean that they know how to manage money. So that's one thing. And my point is that's one thing we can teach our children, a little bit at a time, when it comes to just showing them the bill and having them figure out the bill, the tip. That can help them think about money and think about finance. And that's a great point that she brought up. And let's keep going deeper into this article. Let me see. Okay, so some things that we can learn from this article is she didn't let her financial hardships that she had when she was growing up. We're talking about Mellody Hobson right now. Very successful, the wife of George Lucas, who created a lane of her own in investing. And one thing that we can learn from her is just because you're going through something financially doesn't mean that that's the end. She worked hard to pull herself out of poverty by educating herself. She educated herself about money. She forced uh, people to think about um, race in business. And she managed to accomplish a lot of different things on the financial side. And then she ended up being an amazing wife to George Lucas, the billionaire creator of Star Wars, uh, which is a cult phenomenon. My brother loved Star Wars when I was growing up. He had all the toys and everything, but that's another subject. But she ended up pulling herself out of poverty, not giving up, and not and remembering all those things that happened to her. But she didn't let that bring her down to a point where she gave up. And that's the whole thing about Monday mindset. And she's the perfect person for Monday mindset. Why? Because you can't give up. You can't give up. I don't care how old you are. I know you guys heard of Gary Vee, right? He's a very popular influencer when it comes to business. I saw something he said. It was very interesting. Someone said to him, "Hey, when is it time for a person to give up? How old does someone has to be when they should start worrying?" You know what he said? He said 70. He said 70 years old. If you haven't accomplished what you wanted to accomplish by 70, then you got to start worrying. He said start worrying at 70. So you guys got plenty of time, man. Plenty of time to educate. Well, that's my point. You guys got plenty of time. You got plenty of time to educate yourself. You got plenty of time to be successful. Don't rush anything. Take your time, learn, and learn from this young lady right here, Mellody Hobson. She grew up in poverty in Chicago. She pulled herself out. She got educated. She worked hard, and she ended up marrying one of the greatest filmmakers, creators, George Lucas. He created the cult phenomena, Star Wars. And, if you can learn anything from today, learn that you can pull yourself out of anything. All right. So it's King here. Appreciate you guys for tapping in. Wait. All right. But hold on one second. All right, guys. Appreciate you guys for tapping in to the Vault 500 Day 35 Monday Mindset. We got a chance to talk about a young lady, very successful business influencer, Mellody Hobson. She is also the wife of George Lucas, the creator of Star Wars, and she created her own lane. She created her own lane within herself. She's the CEO of Ariel Investments. She's on the board of Starbucks. And she's also helped raise questions about race in business, and which is very interesting. So thank you guys for tuning in to the Vault 500 today, Monday Mindset. Check her out. Do your research on her. I know you know of her from being the wife of George Lucas, but it gets a little bit deeper than that. Appreciate you guys. Thanks for tapping into the Vault 500 today. It's King here. I'll be back tomorrow. Tech Tuesday, my favorite day. We're going to be talking about new technologies and what it looks like for the future with AI and all that different type of stuff. So check in tomorrow. All right, see you guys same time.